Not too bad. How about yourself?
Well, I want to let you know I did just click that we are recording this because there's a chance that this might get uploaded to the Campus Life webpage, their YouTube page through Campus Life for others, student leaders to be able to check on as well.
Okay, no problem.
We'll just take a minute or so to let a few others join us. And I'm actually at this point going to turn the waiting room off so anyone can join us as they'd like to. Hopefully this finds everyone healthy and safe. So to get started, my name is Mike Paestella, and I work in student involvement in the Point with student organizations on campus. And often this time of year, we've been meeting with various student leaders to answer questions about their elections, how that process goes through, or meeting new officers, and also showing them what they can do with Like Your Life that way. And that's some of the stuff we'll get into in a little bit. And I'll let Eddie introduce himself.
I'm the Chief Justice for SA. I deal a lot with elections and any discrepancies that might come up, or just constitutions in general. And I'm like Mike, I'm here to help with anything that you guys might need and direct you in the right direction.
So one of the first things I'd like to share is that it's important to meet with your current executive officers and then your general membership to discuss how you're going to transition. And under normal times, that's normally pretty easy. Often in the MCC, maybe another building on campus, meetings take place, nominations occur. Then shortly after nominations, there are elections, often done in person in meetings. That's obviously going to be a challenge this semester. So part of what we're going to do is take some time to walk through some of the resources that are there through Like Your Life to be able to do that. And then another thing is just answer questions, go over some basics in regards to transitions, things we've heard from other organizations so far as some started to do their elections. And hopefully this helps make it easier while we're remote to move through this transition process. All right.
And yeah, I think just making sure that your elections are are set up properly and that you're able to get a good amount of members able to vote is really important to make sure that you guys are having fair elections. And I know transitions are sometimes difficult for people, but hopefully, again, me and Mike will be here to help us make it as smooth as possible, along with your advisor and other people that you're involved with in your organization.
We have heard from some organizations that have used Zoom or Google Hangouts, also other things through group chats to nominate people to start to do their elections. Some are doing it staggered. So some might be focusing on what I like to call the core four, which is your president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. And then after they have them elected, doing a second round of nominations and elections to make life a little easier that way, because it's different when you don't have 20, 30, 40, however many members all in a room doing it in one night in a meeting that way. And I'm going to share my screen, unless Eddie would like to jump in there before I do that.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay.
But while Mike's bringing that up, yeah, just to reiterate, the core four is something that we really want to have filled in, because this way, once you get on campus next semester, you'll be able to fill the rest of the positions. But as long as we have everybody that can go through the trainings that they need to at the beginning of next semester and get everybody rolling, those are probably the most important parts moving forward.
So one of the things that you'll see on the screen right now is that this is what Like Your Life looks like as you log into it. And we have our long-standing alert here, which if you haven't viewed and you're new to Laker Life is worth viewing. It's a kind of a crash course in how to utilize the page as an officer, if you're new to your organization being an officer. Then the update to route everyone to the COVID-19 information on the SUNY Oswego webpage, which is updated with continuous information for services, things in regards to class in that respect as well. So that's just a great resource to have. The new addition is right here, using your Laker Life page for elections. And a couple of things to share in regards to this. So if you were to come in here and click on this, it's going to bring you to a tool within Campus Labs. And how this is going to work is it's going to let you come in and see their tutorial for creating an election. If you're in the elections tab within your page in Laker Life. So wanted to let you know that this is here so that you'd be able to click on that, go in and see that. Anyone with an oswego.edu email in who's active on their organization's page can go into this Campus Lab site and see this information. So just so that you're aware that it's there and how easy it is to get to from our webpage that way. So going back, again, that's one click away right here under using your Laker Life page for elections. The other item I wanted to share is that if you were to visit our page, Student Involvement at the Point, you would be able to scroll down and see lots of updated information. So for example, our event today that we're doing right now on elections, our event on Wednesday, which will be our panel for officer transitions, our team and student involvement, updated news. And here in our documents section in particular, you'll be able to see the Engage Guide to Elections in Laker Life. So this is a PDF version that you can download and can also share to help in regards to using your page. Also some information here for officer transitions, should that be helpful in this time. And obviously you can check out any of the documents, but those are the core two that are pretty helpful at this time. Now, if you were, oh, go ahead, Eddie.
And if you are doing election on Laker Life, especially use this time to make sure that all of your members are registered on your Laker Life, either by sending them invites or whatnot. Because I know a lot of organizations have a lot more members that are present within the organization, but they aren't represented on Laker Life. And just making sure that they're registered will help SA a lot as well.
I concur with what Eddie shared. And part of what will help you with that is you will be able to see your memberships up to 10 that you're a part of those organizations, and then you can load more. And I have this test site. So this is called ZABC, and it's not a real organization, so it doesn't go through the official process each year that way. But it is something that's there to assist you. And part of what you can see, of course, I'm going to have to move us again, is when you are an officer of an organization, so if you haven't yet been elected, you would need your current officers to make sure that you're an officer that has access to do this. When you go into, you'll always see this manage organization. And when you click manage organization, it brings you into this page where you can control what happens. And part of that is your roster, part of that is elections, part of that is writing your own news articles, posting your events like this event was posted. So as Eddie was sharing, in your roster, you want to be able to make sure that your roster is accurate if you're going to use the page for voting, because anyone who's on your roster would be able to vote that way. So it is important that when you go in, that your roster is updated and has the appropriate people there that way. And that's something where if you have some alums or some other folks there, you could potentially do the end membership that way if you identified them and switch them out. However, another thing I'd like to show is that in the elections area, you can also send the link. So I went ahead and created these Spring 20 elections demo for this today and set it up so that ZABC would be having their election, and they were going to run it for 2 days from 5/18 to 5/20, which is similar to how we set up the SA election that hopefully you were voting in last month. So what happens here is that you can go in, name your election, you can make it active, which I didn't because this isn't real, and then you can write your instructions. Obviously here it was just that this is a test. Pick the dates for how long you want it to go. And you can say that this is only going to be available to those people on your roster. However, you can also uncheck that. And if you wanted to uncheck that, you could go to publishing options and you would be able to take this electronic link and then email it just to the people that you wanted to have vote that way too. And then obviously hoping that they would honor that they wouldn't share it with others that way and it'd bring them in for the link. You could also display it on your page. And making the ballots is pretty straightforward. As you go in and you'd hit create ballot, which I've already done here for the Spring 2020 demo. And then there's a wide variety of tools at the bottom where you can do checkboxes, radio button lists, text field, instructions to decide how you want to do things. The most popular way for voting tends to be radial buttons. And if you click that, it lets you create boxes like this where you can be, and here I just wrote, who do you support on line 1? What you might be writing is, who would you like to be the next president of group ZABC? And then person A and person B, and it could be Eddie and Mike that way, and deciding who you want to vote for. Some organizations allow and abstain, some do not in that respect. So what you would be able to do after that is when it's all said and done, is you would be able to go back in and check your results, and it would give you the number of votes, and it would give you the percentages and show you a chart in regards to the outcome of the elections that way. So that's one possible option. We know for others, they prefer to maybe do something through Zoom and maybe doing a poll that way, giving up a little anonymity to be able to do it in real time. There are multiple ways that you can approach this. But since we had this tool, we wanted to make a point to share this as well with you.
Right, and just like give some court's perspective on this as well. I know this sounds like common sense, but make sure you guys are, if you don't use the election on Laker Life, make sure you are using, make sure you are saving the results, because some people will have the election and then it'll just go away and then they'll lose it, or it'll get deleted or whatever that might be. And then when somebody's like, oh, challenges the results of the election, then the court has a problem of, well, how can we prove this? On top of that, making sure that the election is having enough members within your organization to make it official, because you want to have as many members as possible voting in this. You don't want to have the thing decided by 1 or 2 members, because that wouldn't be fair, especially if you have 50 members or something like that in your organization. So making sure, I would say a good standard rule is meeting quorum, which is half of your active membership plus 1. So this would allow it to be legitimate in when you have your elections. And if you aren't able to meet that number, getting as close to it as possible, especially in these times. But if you are far under that number, I would suggest a revote if possible.
I think that's sound advice from Eddie. And I think even though we are apart in some ways with all of our technology, knowing most organizations have a group chat, knowing that you could set your election as an event like your life, knowing that most groups have an Instagram page and other means of communication, to know that you would normally set an election in advance, a week or 2, or a meeting or 2, that there is plenty of time to give lots of notice. There's no need to say, oh, wow, we didn't do our election yet, so let's do it tomorrow. That would be a bad approach, because it wouldn't allow to be inclusive like Eddie shared. But what can be done to make the post on Instagram, send the email out, do the message in the group chat to say, look, next Wednesday at 7 o'clock, this is how we're gathering, or here's the nomination time, and then we're going to do this through Laker Life this way, and then take the approach that's best. It shouldn't be a rush thing. The other thing is, in this time, while we certainly recommend and endorse following your constitution, some of your constitutions would have language about a physical meeting and some of the time requirements that way because of number of meetings. That right now could be suspended in regards to, you wouldn't obviously be able to have the physical meetings. And as long as there's good notice, I would say 3 days notice, appropriate notice, you're okay as well. As an elected official, this evening, I'm even experiencing that because technically by town law, it's illegal to meet over the phone, but the governor has empowered us that we can do that because he doesn't want us all meeting at the town hall that way. So therefore, if the governor can say that for us in municipalities, Eddie and I can certainly say that you can do that with your student organization as well.
And also, I'm just gonna take this time to really quick, make sure if you are a new incoming, a new officer, make sure you guys are looking at your constitutions to see if there's any revisions that need to be made. Because a lot of times the court will have problems with, oh, it was written 10 years ago, and but it's out of date. It doesn't stand true today still. So make sure you guys are looking at those and seeing if there's any revisions that you need to make, and then you can send them into the court and we can discuss them and get all your constitutions up to date as well.
I have a quick question about constitutions.
Yeah.
Usually, wouldn't we go and ask Maddie about it? I believe, was that who we went to retrieve them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this case, should we just email her?
Well, the one challenge with that is if your constitution was updated recently, there's a chance that in a SA court shared file that may be on file there. If it's, say, 10 years old, like Eddie mentioned, we would only have the paper copies. And we don't have access to that because the point has been locked down for a few weeks. So what we could do is we could guide you through some general, how to nominate, how to set things up to make it fair for this time. But if we can't get you your physical constitution that way to assist in just the general mechanics of an election, and either Eddie or I could set up another time to meet with you to do that.
Okay,
Right.
sounds good. I'll reach out to Maddie to see specifically, but thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, and most changes, if you are looking at them now, will be taking place next semester for your constitutions. I'm not really able to approve them or discuss with my other justices effectively right now in making these big changes to constitutions. So yeah, most of the changes will be taking place next semester if you decide to change your constitution.
Okay, thanks.
Are there any other questions out there right now? If not, my email is on the student involvement page at the point, and you're welcome to click on me there and email me with specific questions afterwards, and I'll let Eddie share about contacting him.
Yep. You can email the court at sa.court@oswego.edu, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can, and with any questions and yeah.
I would also promote on Wednesday at 5 o'clock, we are doing an officer transitions panel with a number of officers of organizations, if you'd like to check that out. We will send an email out once this and or other videos are set up on the Campus Life YouTube page. It's kind of exciting that we'll have some things there. And please keep following our Instagram page because we're going to have certain slides, more featured organizations and things happening there too.
Awesome, thank you guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you both for attending today.
You're welcome.
All right, see ya.
All right. Well, have a wonderful day, everybody.
You too. I'll see you on Wednesday.